All right, James, what'd you think of our pod with Patrick Stox?
That was very interesting going into a lot of different things around. Well, I mean, you dove a lot into Ahrefs as well, which is quite interesting. But even outside of that, the idea of AI and search, some of his thoughts on topical authority. I think that actually the end of the podcast was, well, the middle of the podcast with the digital PR, I think was for most listeners would probably be one of the more interesting ones around why digital PR
Hmm.
may not be you know, a good way to try rank your pages. And at the end of the podcast, when we talked a lot about the core updates of Parasite SEO, I think that was also very insightful as well.
Yeah, it was fun to chat. Yeah, sorry, I kept talking about the inner workings of Ahrefs because I was pure. I was personally curious because I think a lot of the times, people. I'm sure you see on Twitter, people are like blasting Ahrefs when things aren't working right, when their
Mm-hmm.
estimates are off. I think it's people don't understand how complex it is to run a company like that, and where we just take things, certain tools for granted. But yeah, that's why I wanted to give them like a platform to talk about it. But yeah, that's it. I don't know if do we have a pod? Do we have a what is it called? Do we have a advertiser this pod? Yo, none again, right?
Sponsor, you mean?
Yeah, sponsor.
Nah,
No, I don't think so.
nah,
Oh my
no
goodness,
sponsor this week.
guys, the sponsor is you.
Yes, two in a row.
Also, yeah, two in a row, man. I'm we're working on the sales side right now. We've hired a small team. But they've been mostly closing the newsletter. I think people don't want the podcast for some reason. It's odd, but yeah, that's
But we're sponsored by the
for
people, bro.
we are sponsored by the people. You guys need to go ahead and just go like the YouTube video. Our views have been dropping actually. Last couple episodes, it's been bad, man.
Yeah.
I think we need I don't know what's going on, but I think we need some more controversial people like Corey back on. His pod was insane. I don't know if the people love him, but yeah, he just gets so much hate. Poor guy. Anyways, yeah, I think that was the pod. You guys go give it a listen. I think it was a good chat with Patrick Stox. It was fun. The guy
For
who
sure.
brought me into the SEO world. Yeah. All right. Yeah, guys, go listen to it. What's good, everyone? It's Jacky Chou.
And this is James Lacey.
And you're listening to This Week in Digital Marketing. All right, welcome to This Week in Digital Marketing. My name is Jacky Chou. My co-host is James Lacey, and we have a special guest on today. His name is Patrick Stox. Why don't you give everyone a quick intro about yourself?
Hey, I'm Patrick. I work at Ahrefs. I'm a product advisor and technical SEO. I have a feeling a lot of folks listening probably know who I am already, so I won't go deeper than that, but I'm really active in the SEO community. I run meetups, I'm speaking, judging. I'm all over the place.
Yeah, amazing. There's a couple ways we can take it, but first off, how was Brighton SEO?
Oh, it was cool. That event, the scale of that is absolutely insane. They put so much work into that conference. And it's so cool for me. Like, I'm from the US and getting to go over to Europe. It's a whole different crowd of attendees, of speakers. I get to see people that I'm like, oh, I'm your fan on Twitter. Like, I've known you for years, but I've never actually met you.
Yeah, it's great. I felt it was a bit like the last time I went, which was I think pre-COVID. It was like super commercialized, right? But it was a good networking event. I liked the event. It was well run, but I guess for it to be well run, it has to be commercialized, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big like floor and tons of swag. I was at the Ahrefs booth a lot of the event.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, who else was there? I think I recognized a couple of people from the pictures. Who else from the Ahrefs team was there, or was it like a huge group?
Oh, we had like 12 people or so there. Sam O was the big one. He never comes out to anything, and he was there.
Where's he based out of, Sam? I think
He is in Boston in the US now, Boston, Massachusetts. He used to be out of Toronto, but he moved.
Gotcha. James, you don't know this, but when I first got started off on SEO, I like used to message Patrick a lot with like SEO tips, but he was like the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Stox is one of those guys where the intersection of affiliates and in-house SEOs both love him. It's like you're like the gem in the industry, Patrick. But yeah, just wanted to thank you for helping me out when I first got started. It was like several years ago. I think it's like almost 10 years at this point, right? Do you still remember that?
Man, has it been that long? Wow. I appreciate the kind comments. That's really nice of you.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
you're gonna
man.
blow up Patrick's inbox now, Jacky, with everyone messaging Patrick for SEO advice. You've just opened the
Yeah.
You know, I get a lot of it. I help when I can. Sometimes I'm a little busy, so if you do message me and I don't get back, I'm sorry. Try again, because I usually do try and help when I can.
Yeah, it's much appreciated. Did you I heard from Joe Davies, he's one of the link building agencies, that there wasn't any or much mention of ChatGPT at the talks in Brighton SEO. Was that true, or did he just simply miss them?
Uh, there were in some of the talks. Yeah, I mean, it was lighter than some of the other conferences. Like I was at PubCon in Austin earlier this year. It felt like every single talk there was about ChatGPT, AI. This time, like some of them were kind of tailored towards that. You know, some of the automation stuff, but others, yeah, not so much.
Yeah. How do you feel about it? Like, what's your thoughts on AI, ChatGPT, and like how it's going to impact search?
I mean, they nailed it as far as popularity, ease of use. Uh, the word got out. Like you just type stuff in and you get an output, and that's great. But like these systems have been around a long time. Like before Ahrefs, I was even at IBM, and I worked on the Watson marketing team, so I got to work with like their natural language generation team. Um, I'll just say that I'm still skeptical of these large language models and creating content. I think honestly, ChatGPT works fairly well for coding, not great, but for a first pass, it's good. For regex, most of the stuff has worked. For content creation, you know, it's not there. It's not going to be there for a while. I use it mostly for summarization personally, but or potentially even like somewhat outlining, but not really. But it's an okay first pass for that. But for the generation, like the same problems that haven't been solved in a decade are not going to be solved overnight. You know, it's making up stuff, making up sources. Um, these are not easy things to solve. Like people have literally been working on this for more than a decade, and SEOs are convinced like they're going to be solved next month or something. No, like it might be years or even longer before that. I don't think the large language models can actually solve that. Like they're the way they work is really they're predictive. Like they're just saying like, what's the next word? What's the next word? What are the odds this is going to be the next word? In which case, it's going to make stuff up. Like it doesn't really have a way to check itself.
Yeah. Actually, I do agree with you in terms of it will be years before it has a larger impact. I think most people are overshooting right now. But I'm still bullish in this sector. It's crazy. It's like a gold rush. It feels like, um, I don't know what it feels like. It feels like the crypto rush in in like 2017 right now. Everyone is getting into AI. It feels like you're missing out if you're not into it, if you're not doing something related to it. Um, what's the team at Ahrefs saying regarding this? Do they have a similar stance to you, or what's the vibe
I
there?
mean, we're looking at use cases. There are some potential things that we will do with it, but a lot of it is kind of wait and see at this point. I mean, honestly, if we wanted to do this stuff, we could have done it years ago. It's all this has been available. It's been in like Python scripts. Nerdy guys like me have done this stuff. Shoot, I remember. I think it was J.R. Oaks was like generating some content for law firm sites back in like 20. God, that had to be like 2015, 2016 or so.
Oh, okay.
So it's the stuff has been around, it's been available. Chat GPT just made it accessible to like everyone, and that's why it's taken off. But that also means more developers, more funding. Maybe they'll actually solve some of these issues faster because of that.
Yeah. I would say it's like perfect execution in terms of the marketing side. Yeah. I think it was extremely well done. Huh. And Yo, speaking of Ahrefs, we're huge fans of Ahrefs on the pod. They've sponsored previous episodes. But man, I think I slid in your DMs talking about the traffic estimation issues, and you responded with a good link to a thread, I think, on the Ahrefs community saying something along the lines of like, the search volume estimates are much more accurate, which I agree with. I think it was the search traffic estimates on a domain level was like it dropped off, right? And
Yeah.
well, how's that going internally? Does it feel like you're putting out a fire, or because I mean I'm matching like several like tens like nearly 50 domains, and it's pretty off right now. I'm sure you guys are looking into it every day internally, but how does it feel?
Yeah, it was such an
backlash. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there hasn't been all that much backlash about it. Surprisingly, hopefully the thread in the community kind of helped with that. There's definitely some, but it's one of those things where, you know, we thought we were doing the right thing. Like we got our keyword estimates better, and magically that makes our traffic estimates worse. We were talking originally about doing like an invisible multiplier on the site traffic. And that would work more like how GSC does, because the data in there, they give you like roughly half how the clicks actually have associated terms. So the way we build our thing is our traffic value, or traffic and a traffic value, is based on known terms, and then we take the clicks to those. So honestly, if we nail the estimates for the search volume, will probably end up at like 50% of site traffic. So we were talking about like, let's put an invisible multiplier, and we've got a ton of data. So we were going to create buckets of websites. So similar websites probably have a similar multiplier. We didn't actually end up going that route, mainly because it creates other issues within our systems, and it doesn't solve for one of the other main issues of the page level traffic. Mm-hmm. So we will actually be going back to this is such a weird thing, but we're going to go back to the keyword data, and we're going to try and figure out what close terms are basically missing, and then kind of we're going to end up, I think, inflating our keyword volume back again, but in a different way than we had it before. And that will kind of fix the traffic estimation and the site level traffic estimations. And it's almost like the bucketing that kind of happens in Google Search Console. Like they're taking a bunch of terms, grouping it together, and saying like it's one thing. Mm-hmm. We've always tried to disambiguate that, but like we don't know what we don't know. We don't know the terms that are getting clicks that Google's not telling us, that don't show up with data and keyword planner, or like show the same volume as some head term, basically. Mm-hmm. So Google's already like been doing this kind of grouping for a long time, and we will try and do something similar that I hope will work out pretty well for us. Yeah, it's probably more than you ever wanted to know on that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm personally interested. I think a lot of people, well, at least the people who are very loud on Twitter who complain about Ahrefs all the time, they don't know the amount of work that needs to go into it, and like the things you have to consider when building a tool such as Ahrefs. It seems ridiculous to me. I can't even fathom how hard it could be. Yeah,
it's there's
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, do you guys not use Search Console numbers? Like I connected all my Search Console number or like access, so I thought it would give like a better estimate of something like that. I'm sure it's one of the factors, but I guess it's because it's not high on the list. It's like an average of all of them, right?
We use that in the keyword volume model, but not for the site traffic estimates. So that's what we were trying to do, was basically use that data for the traffic estimates as well. That was the invisible multiplier. We were trying to be more similar to buckets of sites from Search Console data. But like Search Console, just one of many things that goes into our model for the keyword data. I know a lot of SEOs view that as source of truth, but is honestly, every data source we've got is messy, and it's kind of our job to like make sense of all the data and try and give SEOs like the best estimate we can for how much this stuff is going to drive, how much traffic and all.
Gotcha. How's running the SEO meetup locally? I've always wanted to do something like that. It just seems like so much work. You run Raleigh SEO, right? If I remember correctly. That's like
One of the folks that do. Yeah, we're still all online from COVID on that one. We also have beer and SEO, which we haven't even restarted. It's been hard to get people back together. I think after COVID, we did some in-person events, and we got like 15 people. And pre-COVID, a bad night we would see like 50. Average night 100. Good speaker like 200 people in a room. So down to 15 people, man, we were laying out some more money than we had access to to run these events. So we're back online for now and looking at starting it back up, similar to how we used to do, like just go in like a restaurant or a small brewery or something where they're willing to actually give us the space, and we don't have to lay out hundreds of dollars a month just for the space plus food and drinks and everything else.
One thing I've always wondered about you, Patrick, is how come you've never gone like pure consulting route? I'm sure you would like absolutely kill it.
I actually did.
Yeah.
Like 2010 to 2014 or so. I'm a terrible salesperson. And back then I had like no leads coming in. Like I'm sure today it would be no problem. Like I just mentioned freelance or whatever, consulting, and I'm sure I would have more clients that I could handle in no time. But it wasn't the case back then. I was very much unknown.
Oh, gotcha. So it was purely because of lack of leads, so you needed like some sort of revenue source, like a steady income, right? I mean,
yeah, it was. This is a horrible story. I don't even know if I want to tell this, but my biggest client was in like B2B engineering, and basically the guy had a stroke and he couldn't do the math needed for the engineering anymore. So the company ended up with some lawsuits and then was shut down. So that was kind of sad.
Oh damn, that is sad. I can see why you didn't want to tell that story. That's extremely sad. Yo,
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, all good. Yeah, and now that you were at IBM for several years, I believe. I was working there. I've seen some. Okay, sounds very lame, but I've seen some TikToks about the engineers who used to work at IBM. They said it was very tough, a lot of bureaucracy. Did you feel like you were? I mean, it seems like you should be very good at migrating, like the inner workings of navigate the inner workings of a S&P, like 500 company. But how was that? I'm sure there's a ton of bureaucracy there.
Yeah, I think IBM invented bureaucracy and enterprise bullshit. It was interesting. Like I feel like I had to work on people skills and processes and stuff a lot more then, but it was hit or miss. Like there were teams that were great to work with. There were teams and people that weren't so great to work with. We had a really strong SEO team actually, and we ended up. It was really hard, I would say, when I first started because like we were pretty far down in the organization. But then after a few years, like we were very, very, very high up in the organization. Like I'm trying to think. I think it was like 17 levels down, my manager, when we started, and then it was like 4 down from the CEO at one point. So at that level in the organization, it's a lot easier to get buy-in, funding. I mean, we were like having some trouble with infrastructure, and we were just like, well, what if we just like fully fund your team? Like we've got the extra cash, and then it was pretty easy to get some stuff done. Yeah.
And how many years have you been at Ahrefs now? It's been You're like getting up there, huh?
Like 3.5 or so, a little more.
And what's the difference working there versus IBM? I'm sure it's like way different. You have like complete ownership of things, right? Ahrefs.
Yeah, Ahrefs is so much better. Great company, great people. Um, Everyone here just feels like such a high performer. Like sometimes I feel like I'm a slacker, and yeah, it's insane. I went IBM. I would say the biggest hurdle really was I was involved in too much stuff with too many different teams, and I would have like 6-7 hours of meetings a day. At Ahrefs, I average probably one meeting a month or so.
One
Yeah,
meeting a
that's
month,
nice.
really?
That's what I like to hear too.
Yeah.
Whoa, what the heck? That's like
Yeah, so I
nothing.
got got some yeah, got some time to actually get work done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick, I got a question for you regarding you mentioned about the chat GPT and content and that it's not quite up to snuff for creating, I guess, blog content. There's obviously a lot of people doing it. But what's your take on the future of search with AI? Obviously with Google release or trying to release theirs, Bing releasing theirs. Is the I guess the fear mongering among bloggers and niche site people warranted around these AI, I guess, search engines taking up a lot of these queries or easy to answer queries that can steal blog traffic?
I would say at some point we do have to worry. I don't think we're there yet. Google's vision for God, when did they first mention that? I think it was Larry Page was talking about like they want to be the Star Trek computer, and that was like 2000 something. Um, and for a lot of queries, there can just be one answer. We've already seen his order with featured snippets.
Yeah.
Not to say that they're ideal or correct, but for so many things, one answer is fine. A lot of the informational content that SEOs create and rank now, that's probably going to be gone in another decade. Like I won't necessarily see much point in that. I think building your personal brand, getting people excited about your content, the insights you add to the conversation, eventually that's all just going to become part of the standard knowledge base, I guess, for humanity, probably. But that'll probably be a long time still where that type of content is useful. Like, what do you have to add to the conversation? So it won't just be like SEO is dead overnight. It's going to be a transition where some things can be answered, other things you're still going to go for people for a long time, and still other things like if you're shopping products or whatever, are you really going to like trust a list like that? Or are you going to go talk with some actual people, or things that are complicated where there are multiple sides to a story? Like you're still going to have opportunities there. So SEO is not dead. It's not dying anytime soon.
So we've got a decade at least then for Jacky to keep spamming the SERPs with AI content.
Got some sites going, huh?
Yeah,
We might be
always.
monitoring some of yours. I'm going to talk to you after this because I'm kind of curious if you're on our list.
Oh yeah, really?
The
Okay.
blacklist.
Yeah, I'm sure. I can send you over my Ahrefs account. You can take a look. But no, a lot of them have been hit, but it's an interesting experiment. Yeah, yo, Ahrefs has so much data. Why don't you guys do more with it? In terms of like content marketing or like uh stuff that will go viral. The you can come up with. I know you just came up with a piece of content that says digital PR is dead, which I guess James has some questions for you.
I did not say that.
Yeah, excuse me. But you said the impacts of digital PR in terms of for organic search organic search traffic besides branded search volume is like relatively there's no correlation, I believe, right? That's what your conclusion was, or
Yeah, pretty
did I
much.
miss something?
I didn't see any wider impact from digital PR campaigns. A lot of the case studies I saw, in fact, just were like they happened during core updates, and they're like, "Yay, we did great!" And I'm like, I don't think you can really attribute that to the digital PR campaign, but they
Yeah,
were
I
doing a
think
lot of
it's
that.
pretty
Um,
tough to.
Why
as
is that
Sorry.
digital PR doesn't move the needle like, I don't know, other links do?
Probably because SEOs have been abusing it for many years, and more than likely, a lot of those sites have been devalued by Google. The same has happened with directories and every other thing that we like to do that seemed to work really well. Google kind of got rid of, and now they ignore a lot of those links. So I think that is the case here, where you know, there are tons of people whose job it is to get those links, and they're doing digital PR specifically for the links. So Google's like, well, we can't really trust this. Like, these sites are just giving these people all these links, and um, it's either that, or the way news sites are structured too. Like, I was trying to look some to the PageRank flow, and like, these stories, they're not well linked in a lot of cases. Like, they're not well linked themselves from other sites. They're not linked well internally from the news sites. You've got dozens of news stories every day. It's not long till this is like hundreds of pages of down in the news site like structure. So I don't think they're getting an awful lot of page rank that can actually flow to these other sites either. If that page rank will even flow.
So it's like an orphaned guest post almost that's being linked through.
Yeah, pretty much.
What? So
Didn't even think about it
in like an ideal scenario, I guess your digital PR campaign would be like a featured story across all news sites, and then maybe that would have a larger impact, I would assume, right? Because if it's featured, then it's on the homepage for longer amount of time.
But even then, it's gone probably after a few days, right?
Yeah, after a couple of days. Yeah, no, I think it's a interesting experiment that you did. How many campaigns did you look at again?
Probably about 80 or so now. Before I published about 50. And then I think I pissed off the entire digital PR community. So they were all messaging me with examples. And yeah, they were DMing me on like Twitter, Slack, everywhere, LinkedIn. And I was trying to look at all of them, because being Ahrefs, like, that's not the story we wanted to tell. We want to be like, digital PR is great, yay links. It is unfortunately just not the story the data told in this case.
So
Yeah.
what I guess situation would you advise someone to do a digital PR campaign, or not do one?
I mean, if you're doing it for branding, for awareness, to even rank it, actually, a lot of these are data studies, basically, a lot of these digital PR campaigns, and they rank for the main page, and they rank well. So you're getting more traffic, can drive more people to your business. You can actually get more business from these things, like that exposure. I was specifically looking for the wider impact. Does it help the overall site rank for other terms better? Does it help? A lot of times you're looking at, let me build this, and then I will drive those links to another internal page, like my money page or whatever. And that's kind of the goal, is like, this gets all these links and I pass some of that value over here. So that one page that's linking to that main money page, product page, service page, wherever you're going, that's where I expected to see the most impact. And in a lot of cases, these campaigns, they even link there directly, because I think the digital PR folks, they give people an option of like, link to the post I wrote, link to my homepage, link to my money page, like, please God, link to my money page. And in some cases they did, and I still just saw no impact, which I thought was crazy. I thought for sure this was like a shoe in, like, this is going to be great to like show how great digital PR is. And I still think it's great. Don't put words in my mouth, Jacky. But as far as as far as for the impact on rankings and stuff, I'm just not seeing it.
Because you mentioned, obviously, one of the theories you just mentioned about Google potentially devaluing some of the links. Does that mean they're potentially devaluing some of these big name news sites, or are we talking some of the more bigger, like magazine style, that maybe aren't more well-known news sites that look kind of dodge? Like, for example, Forbes, I'm assuming like that may not be devalued, or are you saying that something like Forbes could be devalued because people are just going after stuff like that?
It is devalued.
Oh, it absolutely could be. I mean, how many emails do you get per day where people are like, buy links on Forbes? In fact, it was, I think that was specifically called out by John Mueller.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't know, 5-6 years ago, where there was an article on the SE Roundtable about it, but someone asked, and he's like, "Yeah, we could devalue links from any site, even Forbes."
Then that means these content farms with like inflated Ahrefs metrics are probably devalued to hell. Surely Ahrefs has enough data to find out the types of links if there is like an impact to rankings, right? You guys have enough data to see that, or do you think it's still
Yes.
a bit tough?
No, we've done studies on that.
Yeah. And how is that
links
right
matter.
now?
Yes.
Yeah. I remember the study that links matter, but like actually qualifying the like quantifying the numbers, like the impact of a link. Is that measured by UR right now, or is it? Yeah, is it like what's the closest metric to like a strong link on a page?
Yeah, UR would probably be, well, UR is basically page rank, so it would be a page level strength metric. For a link strength metric, I don't know that we actually have anything like that. That would be extremely hard to value. Like, we could look at basically the amount of page rank that is being passed to that, but then it gets really messy because we don't know like what's been disavowed. We don't know what Google may or may not be counting. Since Penguin and 2016 or something, they just started ignoring a ton of links rather than penalizing you for them. Well, you can still be penalized for them, but it's more rare now.
Yeah, and because one thing I noticed Ahrefs doesn't have versus the competitors who I won't name is they have like link toxicity metrics, right? Is that something Ahrefs would has that? I mean, I'm sure you guys thought about introducing it, but is there a reason why you haven't introduced it?
Yeah, it would do more harm than good. I'm kind of glad that other people are kind of wising up to that. Like, even John Mueller has been making fun of the other tools with their toxicity scores and stuff. The biggest use case for that is like people take it and they go and they throw it in their disavow file. And so if Google's already ignoring most bad links, like, there's almost no need to disavow unless you have a manual penalty. What you're going to do is you're going to get some good links that are helping you caught up in that. And like, you're basically just shooting yourself in the foot. So we never wanted people to hurt themselves or hurt their sites. That would be an interesting study, actually, is like, look at some folks that use these other tools and see how their traffic went down when they signed up or something. Because inevitably, like, they're going to make wrong decisions. I've looked at the toxic markers even in some of those tools, and I fully disagree with a lot of their methodology. I'm like, no, you cannot say like, because of that it's a bad link. And I know they're taking in a lot of signals, but a lot of those signals that they're taking in are just completely wrong. Like, I would never use those.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree with you here, especially since John himself said, "Don't waste your time working with disavow files unless you have a penalty or something along the lines." I like to misquote people, but I believe it was something along the lines of that. It's like, don't waste your time with it. It's like, it's better if you just keep on trucking type of thing.
It's agencies. They
love.
Just real quick, I was going to say agencies, I think a lot of times sell that as a service to kind of make themselves like look busy, and they might be doing actual harm to their clients, which is really sad. So it's why we've never introduced that.
Yeah. What did you? I mean, I'm sure you saw the news, but they're is it sunsetting page experience or something along, like they're removing mobile friendly page speed, SSL as a ranking factor, I believe. Or I just, you know me, I only read headlines. I don't really click into them. Because I think you just gave a talk on something some of these factors, right? Or it was on canonical, but you touched on other topics too. Was this did this news come as a surprise to you, or how did you feel about that? Because I was pretty surprised.
I mean, I got some catching up to do too after Brighton. My understanding is they had this like page experience where they tried to bucket things and call that like a ranking system, but it wasn't. So my understanding is they sunset like that verbiage, like that page experience system that never existed. They're like, this never actually was a thing. But as far as I know, I could be wrong because again, I got some catching up to do in reading. I think all the signals are still there. Like they're not getting rid of core web vitals or like HTTPS. So they're still like ranking factors. They're just smaller ranking factors. Not smaller than in the past. They've just never really been all that important.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't feel, at least from my me spamming the web, I don't feel like those were significant ranking factors. James, are you seeing something similar or with your sites? Or?
Yep, my sites are like, I'm pretty sure they're like red on performance. They load fine. They load fine when going on them, but they don't pass core web vitals, and they're all good. So I don't even bother doing anything with that.
Patrick, did you
Yeah, I think my personal site's still not even mobile friendly.
Yeah, I was just on your personal site. Kind of hurts my eyes, Patrick. I think you gotta throw that.
Dude, I saw you're linking out. Are you linking out? Are you trialing something on your personal site? I was on it before, and you're linking to like best dot lasers or something, like something about lasers.
Oh, the purple laser pointer.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? This is an obvious just trying to test something, trying to rank something from your personal page. What's going on there?
Yeah, it was an argument actually that Josh, Sam, and I had at Ahrefs. Like, I forget how did that go exactly? We were talking about like, we were doing like this test of, I think we were using like Fiverr and some other sites and like hiring some folks to do some things. And one of the tasks was like do keyword research for like laser pointers and tell us like what pages you would make. So we ended up in this argument about like, I think they said that basically because there were no affiliate sites ranking for purple laser pointers that they wouldn't target it. And I was like, that's the reason I would target that. Like I can rank a page for that in a heartbeat. So I literally spent like 30 minutes, made this like spoof of a page, like knockoff affiliate thing that's just kind of funny and basically says I'm going to rank this and like it's 5-star on Amazon type content and it's just ridiculous. So it's actually pretty funny if you read it. But yeah, it took me all of 30 minutes. And I think it ranks like 4th for purple laser pointers. So it proved the point, like, yeah, you can rank for that with an affiliate site. So it was just, I viewed that as an opportunity. And they said because it was all e-commerce sites that they wouldn't target it.
It's funny because I rank for a bunch of seed work keywords in my niche in the middle of e-commerce sites as well. And I don't know why. Like I rank for the best terms and it just ranks me on the first page and with all the e-commerce sites for a lot of those seed terms.
It's called site diversity. You gotta have differing opinions. I mean, a roundup of reviews, the best, the top, whatever. Like this is what affiliates do. Like you target that stuff. It deserves to rank there along with the places selling the products because the places selling the products aren't always the best answer. Like they may not even have like the right product selection, the right things recommended. I always joke anytime I'm dealing with e-commerce clients, like inevitably I get a question. I had one from a major laptop company once, and they're like, well, why don't I rank for laptops? And I'm like, because you sell like this one brand of laptops. And like Best Buy's out there selling Apple and Lenovo and Toshiba. I'm like, they're a better answer, period.
That's true, actually. And how come you don't start your own sites? Or do you have your own sites? I just assume you didn't. Sorry about that. But
no, I do.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's talk about your niche sites, dude. This is our forte. Like what kind of sites do you have? Is it in the consumer space? Is it B2B? What are you working on the side? Or can you not speak?
We'll just get Patrick to give us the EARLs, the domain names for the podcast.
I don't want to. How long do you have for me to give domain names? No, I don't usually talk about it. I did actually. I did an affiliate conference, and that's probably the only time anyone's ever even asked me about like sites that I have for that kind of stuff. Believe it or not, some of my oldest sites are in the scrapbooking niche, which people are like, "What?" It long story. I used to be a developer, and like I did some work for a lady, and she was like clearing like $1 million a year in her e-commerce store, and this was like 2005, and it was all scrapbooking. I'm like, what even is this? Which it's, I always tell people it's the number one hobby in the world. Like the moms, grandmas, aunts, they're always like making these books with all the stuff with the pictures, and they'll buy 20 different shaped scissors and 50 types of glitter, and it's crazy because like they spend like $10 like every single week, which doesn't sound like a lot, but you know, on Amazon, if I'm sending them there, whatever else they're buying, I'm getting commission on that too. So there's that. I have some doomsday prep stuff and some scientific test equipment. Those are the niches I play in.
Nice. Have you ever, have you considered selling them? Have you exited them before? Any sites? Just want to get a better understanding of your journey.
Depends on what you consider an exit. I've had a lot of them killed over the years.
Exited by Google.
And they're not all affiliate either. Yeah. The first penguin hurt me bad. And not all of them are affiliate either. Like some of them are actually like e-commerce. Where like in the scrapbooking, I sell a lot of digital downloads. So like pay $1, $2, get all these images, print them out, use your Cricut machine, and like the Cricut machine like will actually cut the stuff out for you, and it's crazy. It's a weird niche.
Yeah, I was into that niche. So I didn't even know Cricut was pronounced that way. I used to say Cricut. My God. Yeah. All right.
It looks like Cricut or something. Yeah. Their logo's a little cricket.
Mm-hmm. You were in the scrapbooking niche, Jacky?
I was. Yeah, I had a site in like the vinyl cutter niche, so it's a kind of scrapbooking, I think. But I never read the articles, so I wouldn't know. I just simply owned it. Yeah.
I mean, there's vinyl. There's like 3D stuff. Like it's so many things.
Yeah. All right. I mean, if sites been killed, then I guess it's not really sellable. Hey, do you remember the SEO competition that I think you did well on? It was the SEO Hero one by Wix. James, were you doing SEO back then? It was like a while back, right? A couple years ago.
Definitely not if it was a while back. I'm still in
that was
2020 I started.
That was maybe like 2016, 2017.
Yeah, that was how do you feel about the competition? I felt personally it was like not ran particularly well. It was like a bit of a shit show. It was so funny though. I was enjoying every moment of it. I'm not sure about you, but like they had to like reject the first like 5 places, you know, of the competition because like people didn't follow the rules and they were like spamming the front page of Google. So James, the competition was like Wix had this. How much was the money? How much was the reward? Do you remember? It was like significant.
$50K.
It was like $50K to the person who can rank for SEO Hero in like 6 months from now or something like that. And like the rules were like no link building, I believe. No link building, no. It has to be new domains, et cetera, et cetera. They had like a bunch of these parameters set. And I think Patrick, were you near like were you like top 3 on that? Like what place were you on?
Yeah, I should have won that.
Yeah. What happened?
They disqualified me for like a BS reason. And then they gave it to a French SEO who built a link network. So yeah, they were supposed to follow Google guidelines, and I probably was one of the only ones that actually did. I was ranking well. I think I should have won that personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, they said like I redirected one of my other domains that I do own like to it, and that was not the case. It was not redirected. Um, which it was interesting because the person had like some shortcuts in their browser bar, like can't remember exactly what it was, but like I showed actually I created a video to show exactly how they set that up with their server to redirect based on the shortcut to make it look like the website redirected. So I made it look like, you know, I sent them a video as evidence or whatever, and I was like, look, this is easy enough to do. I mean, it's not easy to do, but like if you know what you're doing, you can do this. So I showed a video where like I just typed in wix.com and like it redirected to my site, and I'm like, come on, like anyone can do this.
Yeah.
Like it was not actually redirected. And there was a judge that was supposed to be some like well-known industry expert. To this day, I've never run into him or met anyone that even knows who that person is. So I said day one actually going into that, like I knew it was going to be an absolute shit show, and they're like, I thought they would just cancel the whole competition and not have anyone win.
Yeah. Honestly, I think the whole premise of the competition was so interesting. I really enjoyed it. Like the idea of it. It was just like misran. But I'm into it. I've always wanted to do something similar again. Like put out like a term where you just put 10K on it, 20K, do it for charity or something like that. And then yeah, just run a SEO competition, because a lot of people nowadays like to talk the talk online, especially on Twitter. And if you just put a competition in it with, you know, not too strict parameters, these parameters are ridiculous. You can actually scope out who the people who can truly rank are. And it was good to see you come on top, even though you didn't get the money, which is messed up. But you said the winner had.
Sorry. Yeah, that one. Yep. It was the French SEOs. They all built like links to each other, basically.
I'm into
So,
it.
yeah. Yeah, that was eye-catching money for an SEO competition. That was the largest pot ever, I think, that's ever been done by a competition. So before that, I think it was like, what was it? Something global in like 2007. I remember a guy named Benj Ariola from the Philippines. He won a car.
Whoa.
But like that was all black hat. Like the Wix one was the first one that was supposed to be like a white hat competition.
Yeah. Do you remember the term for the black hat one? Wasn't like Viagra, was it?
No. It was a made up term. Like that's generally what they did back in those days. I have to look it up. Something blue, or I'm not sure on that one. There were so many different ones. I think there's actually a Wikipedia page that chronicles all the old SEO hero or all the old SEO competitions.
Oh, really?
I think the only one conveniently I think the only one conveniently missing is the Wix SEO Hero one. They ended up doing it was so bad. Like they ended up trying to cover it up. I think they did another like SEO Hero competition, but it was just between like two agencies, and I think Marie Haynes' agency actually won that one.
Oh, well, that's good at least. Yeah, man, that this would be so interesting. Like nowadays, I'm not sure any brand would want to associate. I want to. I could I could put in, but I don't know if I can swing 50K. You know, I'm not quite there yet in terms of where I'm at in life. You know, but maybe something lower and like for a good cause or something like that. That would be quite fun.
Maybe,
if you do it for a good cause, you'll get some sponsorships.
Just the prize can be a few backlinks from your agency.
Yeah, no one would want that one, man. It's like 0 applicants on that one. No, I think for a good cause, it would be pretty interesting. As a technical SEO, Patrick, how do you feel about this emergence of topical authority and whatnot? I'm personally seeing it. I'm like a firm believer in it after the very ever so controversial Corey came on our pod. But I just wanted to get your thoughts on it as like a pure technical SEO through and through, what you thought about it.
You mean as far as like links from similar sites making you rank better?
No, more like it's like the actual content. So, for example, if you cover everything under the sun
Gotcha.
about dogs, you can rank better for your dog terms. Because yeah,
You don't have to cover everything under the sun, but yeah, in general, like that's stuff like that is going to help like your information retrieval score. Like
exactly.
there actually are factors related to like topicality, to relevance, to like keyword usage, that kind of stuff that would be in their information retrieval systems. They've actually talked about all that before.
I never even knew information retrieval system was a term. But yes, how people describe it is like that. Huh? Interesting. Man, and also, have you noticed with these core updates, every time they refresh, I don't know what you're seeing because you have way more data than me. I'm just speaking from like my small, sketchy network of sites. But every time there's a core update, it feels like they refresh your topical like authority, quote unquote. I know you're gonna hate these terms because I'm speaking from like a affiliate bros perspective, and you see so much more than us. But from what I'm seeing, at least, it like refreshes. Like you give another chance for Google to, how do I say, determine what your site is about. Are you seeing that as well? Because this recent update completely bumped me up after I did like a huge amount of fixing. But then you never know how can you attribute any changes in your site to anything you've done if it's just a core update. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean the core updates they're big and they're basically reweighting entire systems, which means they need time to like gather the data. They need time to figure out like where you should go, all the scoring changes. Like their scoring system's really interesting anyway. But yeah, anything like that is just going to be such a massive change that I'm honestly surprised we don't see more changes. I think, but it's
Really?
because really I think there's only a few factors that play a big role, and then a lot of the others are like, Google. I think Google's terminology is like tie-breaking factors, and they're basically many like decimal points down in their final scoring, so they don't carry a ton of weight. But stuff like content links, like absolutely still carries, most of the weight between those two, really.
Yeah.
What's your take, Patrick, on the parasite SEO situation? A lot of people saying, or all the people wanting these big, I guess, general news sites to kind of die, so more relevant niche sites can rank. But obviously, even Google with their various spam updates, whatever else, these sites are still ranking and ranking higher than ever. Is that something that do you think Google will eventually crack down on, or want to crack down on at all?
I think they created that situation. So before your time, like this, God, I'm so bad with years. I don't even know what year this was. It was a long time ago. They had a big focus on promoting brands within the SERPs. So they really wanted to show these big sites. They wanted to show things that like people know, to show sites that people would be more likely to trust. And so I think they created that situation where they're more likely to show the big sites.
Yeah.
So anytime soon that they're gonna stay there. I mean, links are, I guess, are always important, and these sites just have a shit ton of them. So I guess that's probably another issue, right?
Yeah, but it's not that you can't compete against them. Like a lot of times the individual pages may not have very many links. Big sites don't always do a great job internal linking. They don't always do a good job creating content. I've looked at so many major companies where I'm just like, you rank for nothing but your brand. Like, what are you even doing? Like you could be doing so much more.
Yeah. But I mean, to argue against that point, I personally feel like SFGate has no business ranking for payday loan keywords. These SEOs have figured out how to use these sites. Yeah, or supplements, protein powders. I'm pretty sure they have like Viagra keywords in there at this point. It's completely getting rinsed by SEOs.
Yeah,
we can't have anything nice. It's just we eventually just have to ruin things. But I'm personally.
Well, this is already like Oh, sorry. I see where you're going with it. And yeah, like more than likely the affiliate stuff on these big sites will be one of the next things closed down. Like it's not that we haven't seen this before with big sites where they abuse stuff. Coupons was probably the first big one that most SEOs knew about. Like, oh, let's do coupon subdomains and blah blah blah, and like Google shut all that down. Basic, well, it's still sort of there, but it's not as bad as it was. They aren't as dominant as they were, because it was like literally these companies, these coupon companies, were even paying to license these subdomains on these large sites, and like that's never gonna fly. Anything that gets abused like that, I think will eventually get shut down, and that probably will include a lot of the affiliate type content. But they have to, I think, be very careful there, because that affiliate content is a nice revenue stream for these publishers. And being that Google's taking some of their revenue stream with like ads and stuff and stealing their content from results, they probably want to give these publishers something to like keep them alive. But more than likely, like Google's working on this product hub, this kind of a product recommendation, and will probably hurt a lot of affiliate sites in general when you just go to Google for all your affiliate content, basically, because they're going to steal that like they've stolen traffic from so many other niches.
Yeah, and I think they have to be careful, because they have to, when you're saying they're going to close down or like give like less traffic to these sites, they have to be careful, because it's hard to determine what is like when an affiliate is using SFGate as like a parasite SEO play versus if it's New York Times with their Wirecutter. You know, how can they determine that at scale and correctly? I think that's because if you miss the mark here, it's like a lawsuit waiting to happen, right? Imagine Google brings the smackdown on Wirecutter. How is that going to look? And yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to deal with this. It's tough, but I mean, they have thousands of analysts crunching this, I'm sure. So us peasants.
Wasn't that what the like EEAT signals? They'll just look at that, which is, you know, mostly links and mentions. The better ones, like Wirecutter, have tons of links and mentions. The other ones, an individual page here or there, even a section on some of the sites, probably wouldn't survive just from looking at that one signal.
Yeah. I mean, I have some examples that counteract that in the VPN niche. James, have you seen my Parasite SEO one? It's like disgusting. It's like a page.
Yes. Is that the EDU one?
Yeah, it's like an EDU
university
site. University site.
Yeah.
That's like the worst thing ever, and it has no business being on the front page of Google for a VPN keyword. It's like a highly sought after one too. So I think Google still has ways to go.
You need to sell me a Parasite SEO post on there, right? I've got things to promote, man.
Can't do it. I can't reveal this one. This one's my baby. It's been my baby for the last like 5 years. It's so resilient to updates. Man, yeah. Patrick, would you ever? Sorry, please.
Let me make a comment on that real quick. So it's interesting because like every major domain out there usually has some like user generated content section. Fun fact, like actually most major sites I've ever worked on have multiple penalties, but like you can pretty much just ignore them because it's for user generated content on like different parts of the site. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that people would be abusing that. Again, if it's done too much, more than likely Google's way of handling it is simply like, let's just not count much or give much value to that part of the site, simply because people are using it to drop links, movies, PDFs with like movie links and stuff. So spam throughout the whole web. It's so crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Patrick, it was great to chat. Finally, thanks so much for your time. I wanted to, thank you once again for your time. And I'll send you over some of my sites, and you can tell me if Ahrefs has been tracking me. You guys have to. Just as long as you don't reveal certain things, we can chat offline about that.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And we likely do see it. We're kind of tracking some of these that are like growing super fast to kind of watch like how long do they make it and like what are they doing before they like fall off. I think Chris on our team like wrote an article using like 10 of them or something recently, but like we have hundreds we're kind of looking at.
Love that. Patrick, plug your Twitter. Where can people find you?
It's at Patrick Stox, which is STOX. Pretty easy to find up there.
Amazing. All right. Well, yeah, thanks so much for your time. See you on Twitter.
All right. Yeah, I'll take it easy.
Cheers, Patrick.